Hi, this is Marco Leone, and this is my presentation on reading informational texts for EL students. I am a teacher of technology and STEM at Columbia Intermediate School. I teach eighth grade technology and career technology, and I teach a STEM elective. And I also help teachers in their curriculum and my team. As a team leader, I help them with supporting them in technology. So, for example, during advisory, I'm supporting these students by helping them with a government piece from their civics lesson on the Articles of the Confederation and the Constitution. This is the two-page document I will have students read. It's more of a handout, really. But with this, there's a lot of information and there's a lot of key terms that may be difficult. They do break it down pretty nicely, but I think it's important to always give enough support to these students so they can be successful. So the overall goal or assessment for this, because I like to think in a UDL framework in terms of I like to use backwards design. So what are they going to get out of this? What's the point? And the simple formative assessment of this is they're going to have a Venn diagram and identify which parts were. If I show you over here, which parts were the Articles of Confederation, which parts were the Constitution, and which were both. So, which one created a president, which one created a government, which one created a branch of government, which one had enough power, which one did the courts, which one created our Congress, and etc. So they do have to they have to analyze the document to identify what is the articles arguments, what are the Constitution's arguments, what did we compromise on, and why is this important to my daily life? In terms of why do we have 50 senators and why do we have over 300 votes in the House? So let's review what we're going to do to get the students to be able to do that. So as I said, I teach eighth grade. These are the eighth grade students highlighted in blue. As you can see, their first initial PO and then their current PO. With these students, at least the group that I have, I do half in the first semester, half in the second semester. My half have been pretty capable. They're above 3 to 5 in their WIDA score. And as I give them plenty supports, I break down. I like read alouds because a lot of them don't have the vocabulary or the reading stand what to keep up. But I just want to make sure that none of these students are in NAP or LEP state. All right. In terms of the actual demographics of my students, I mostly get, of course, being upcountry Maui and being in Mukwao, you get a lot of students from the country and a lot of Hawaiians. Um, we get a lot of Spanish, Portuguese, because of the rodeo and the cowboy culture here. And we also get Filipinos, of course, from Maui and from town. And then we have Japanese, Chinese. But in terms of EL, it's mostly Japanese, Spanish, and Micronesian. We have about 3 Micronesian this year. As you can see, there's one in the Hawaiian immersion program as well with an X or two. All right. And I showed these common core state standards to show what the whole basis of this is on, is making sure students can analyze, can evaluate. What I try to do is kind of mimic the 3 strands. So try to build them up with the knowledge, the base, bare bones, foundational skills. What is Congress? What is a constitution? So at least getting those down and then going into meaning. What is this document telling us about the Constitution, about Congress, and about how it's formed? And then into constructing knowledge and ideas, or integrating knowledge ideas in terms of analyzing both the Constitution and the Articles of Confederation. What's the differences? What's the similarities? Compare and contrast, and see the cause and effect of us discussing and compromising for the first time as a country. When doing read alouds, I took this from Wright's Chapter 8 slides. Make sure before reading, just give an introduction, give some relevance to the topic. And so I do that with a fun little poll. I ask students, what's their favorite ice cream? And imagine we had a party where we only could have a party if we all chose one ice cream. Would it be possible to satisfy everyone and all have the same flavor, even if they don't get their favorite flavor? Is it possible? Basically, it's impossible to agree on one flavor. And if we do agree on one flavor, of course, there'll be some people being left out or feeling like they didn't get their choice. But that is what the whole idea of what compromise is about, is making sure that even if you didn't get it what you wanted, you had to give in a little bit in order to compromise. All right. During the reading, I think aloud. I pause during moments where I'm like, wow, that really makes a connection to blank. So pause and predict is also good. Imagine what happens when we had this disagreement. How do you think we solved it? And then after reading, trying to see if those predictions are correct. And I always do peer partner readings as well. I always have somebody next to them they can get support from. This strategy I really like, especially for self studies, and it's something I've been trying to work with. And it's basically just note taking, but using the words plan. So predict, locate, add a note. So with the reading, it kind of blends itself to this because it's social studies, and there are chapter headings. So for example, independent citizens seek awesome government. Independent citizens seek weak government. A rocky start. Lots of differences. Let's fix this thing. Voting in Congress. Yes, it's a big deal. Battle of the plans and Constitution solution. So they would predict what these chapter headings would what it would be. They would locate any unknown words, for example, Articles of Federation, Constitution, um, and then they would actually add to their chapter headings any key terms they do know from these topics. So instead of them just reading the whole 2 pages and asking them a summary at the end, it is quite difficult for them to do that. So it's better to break it down, chunk it into little tiny pages or little tiny passages that they have to tackle into here. So chunking the assignment, giving check-ins is pretty important. Once they chunk them into their chapter headings, they're going to note the new understanding gained and use it to complete the task. So in this case, it's the Venn diagram. Great. Something I also like doing, especially if it's a key term, is the Constitutional Convention Frayer model. Just a way to get some illustration out there for the kids, give them examples, give them ways to elaborate on their statements, and just to define a word and just see all the different ways it can be used. Examples, non-examples, illustrations. But I like the Frayer model. It's effective. It's great for breaking down complex vocabulary. I highly recommend it. And of course, this even can be applicable to lower skill or lower grades. Sometimes it's just fun to just draw and color things. There you go. Visuals are key. Another way to use visuals, graphic organizers, especially for cause and effect, as in the Virginia plan led to blank, or the New Jersey plan led to blank. I like the way this frames it. It's simple, it's effective, and without this kind of way to see cause and effect, it has become really difficult, especially within a 2-page document. I took this from Wright's Chapter 8 slides as well because vocabulary development is essentially really important. I, again, use it with the Frayer model, word wall, and then finally Quizlet. But just it's really key to, as you can tell with my plan model, there's going to be information that's unknown to these students, and especially with my students, they struggle with vocabulary. So it's really important that we give them the meanings critical for comprehension and explain them to them. A review quiz like Quizlet or Kahoot is really fun, and it does help the students really. Competition really it feeds them sometimes, and it really wants them to learn the vocabulary. All right, and that's my presentation on reading informational text to EL students. These are the strategies I'm going to be using for this Just Right Government assignment, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.